The night I discovered the truth, the world didn't shatter with a scream. It broke with a whisper. A single, trembling whisper from my wife, my Mira, saying a name that wasn't mine. And in that moment, standing in the dark doorway of our bedroom, I realized that the home I'd spent 10 years building was nothing more than a house of fragile glass. One lie, one betrayal, and everything splintered. And the whisper. I hadn't meant to overhear anything. I only returned home early because the project I was working on wrapped ahead of schedule. I thought I'd surprise her. I thought she'd be happy. But as I stepped inside, the lights were off. Only the soft glow of her phone illuminated the bedroom door. I heard her giggle, soft, warm, familiar. Only now I understood that it had never belonged to me alone. Then she said it. I miss you too. Amen. Not Daniel. Not her husband. The air froze around me. My heart gave one violent thud against my ribs. The world narrowed to the sound of her voice. You shouldn't call right now, she whispered. He'll be home later. My hands went cold. She thought she knew my schedule. He thought she had time. I backed away before the floor could creak, before she could see the way my soul was bleeding across the hallway tiles. The weight in my chest was unbearable, like grief but sharper, crueler. I walked out of the house without a sound. I didn't leave a note, didn't pack a bag, didn't touch my phone. Just vanished. To the disappearance. People assume leaving is dramatic. Slamming doors, yelling, a storm of emotions. But when you're hollow, you move quietly. I drove for hours without knowing where I was going. I ended up in a coastal town 300 miles away, where no one knew my name. I rented a small room above a garage from an old widower who didn't ask questions. For months I lived like a ghost. I worked odd construction jobs, ate whatever the corner shop sold, spoke to almost no one. And every night I replayed that whisper. I miss you too. Amen. Sometimes I hated her. Sometimes I missed her. Most nights, I missed the man I used to be before she burned him down. I blocked her number the day after I left. My family told her I was alive but didn't share where I was. They knew better. I didn't want to be found. 3. The trail she followed. But betrayal is a strange thing. The person who breaks you is often the only one desperate enough to put you back together. Almost a year passed before she tracked me down. It wasn't dramatic. No frantic knocking. No shouting. Just a soft, hesitant voice outside the garage apartment one rainy evening. Daniel. Froze mid-step. I knew that voice. Even after everything, my heart recognized it before my mind did. She stood there drenched from the rain. Hair plastered to her cheeks, clothes soaked, shoulders trembling. Her eyes were swollen like she had cried the whole drive. For a moment neither of us spoke. All I felt was the old pain rising, thick and suffocating. How did you find me? I asked, my voice flat. Your brother, she whispered. I kept asking. Begged. He finally told me you were alive. And here. Clenched my jaw. You shouldn't have come. I know, she said, her voice breaking. But I had to see you. I had to tell you everything. I wanted to shut the door. But closure, that seductive poison, made me step aside. For the story I never wanted to hear. Inside she shivered, dripping water onto the old carpet. I tossed her a towel without looking at her. Talk, I said. Then leave. She winced at the coldness, but she didn't protest. I ended it with him, she said quietly. Months before you left. I swear, Daniel. I laughed, short, bitter. You were whispering his name the night I walked out. I know, she whispered, tears filling her eyes. That call. That night, it was the last one. He wanted to meet. I told him no. I told him I loved you and I'd made a mistake. A terrible mistake that I regretted every day. I thought I was ending it. My hands curled into fists. A mistake. That's what you call it. She flinched. I'm not making excuses. I was selfish. I was stupid. I didn't realize how empty I had become. How lonely I felt even with you beside me. It wasn't your fault. It was mine. My inability to speak, to ask for what I needed. You had everything, I snapped. My trust, my loyalty, my love. And you threw it away. Her chin quivered. I know. And losing you. Living with the silence you left behind. It destroyed me. Good, I wanted to say. But bitterness never healed me. It only kept me chained to the wound. I took a slow breath. Why did you come? What do you expect? I don't expect anything, she whispered. I came to apologize in person. To give you the truth. And to tell you. I'm leaving the country. For good. A job transfer. I needed you to know before I went. I couldn't leave without seeing you once. Something inside me twisted unexpectedly. She wasn't here to beg for us back. She was here to say goodbye. And strangely, that hurt more. 5. The crumbling walls. Did you ever love me? Yes. Her answer came without hesitation. More than anything. But I was stupid enough to risk losing you because I didn't know how to handle my own fears. She wiped her cheeks. You were always the strong one, Daniel. The steady one. I felt small next to you, like I wasn't enough. And instead of talking to you, I made the worst choice of my life. I swallowed hard. You should have trusted me. I know, she whispered. And I destroyed the only thing that made my life feel real. The room went silent. Rain drummed against the windows. Soft, relentless. For the first time since she arrived, I really looked at her. She wasn't the confident woman I once knew. She looked fractured, exhausted, human. A part of me, the part that still loved her, ached. Another part, the part she broke, stayed cold. You said you're leaving, I murmured. She nodded. Tonight. I won't bother you again, Daniel. I just needed you to know the truth before I disappeared like you did. The irony wasn't lost on me. 6. The decision I never saw coming. She stood to leave. And something inside me panicked. Not because I wanted her back. Not because the wound had healed. Not because forgiveness had magically grown inside me. But because after all this, I didn't want the story to end with silence again. Mira. My voice stopped her at the door. She turned slowly. I don't know if I can ever forgive you, I said honestly. What you did changed me. I know, she said. I don't expect forgiveness. But, I continued, I also know I don't want to spend the rest of my life hating you. Her breath caught. And I don't want your last memory of us to be the night I walked out. Her lips trembled. Then what do you want? I didn't have a perfect answer. Just the truth. I want to sit and talk. For a little while. Relief flooded her features. Painful, overwhelming, almost childlike. We sat on opposite ends of the small couch, the space between us heavy with shared history. We really talked for hours. About the marriage. The cracks we ignored. The parts we pretended not to see. The loneliness she hid. The silence I never questioned. It didn't fix anything. It didn't stitch the wound closed. But for the first time it felt like the bleeding slowed. 7. The final goodbye. When dawn approached, she stood again. I should go, she whispered. Will you be okay? Yes. She smiled faintly. I will now. At the doorway she hesitated. I meant what I said, she murmured. Losing you was the consequence of my actions. I accept that. But meeting you tonight gave me peace. Thank you for not slamming the door in my face. He nodded. And Daniel, she added softly. Yes. You may think you vanished, but you didn't. You survived. And I'm proud of you. A single tear escaped before she turned away. I didn't stop her. I didn't call out her name. I didn't chase her down the stairs. I let her walk into the morning light, into the life beyond us. What remains? When the door closed, the silence didn't feel like before. For the first time in a long time, it didn't feel like a grave. Felt like a beginning. Not of us. She and I were a chapter closed. But of me. Of the man I might become after betrayal. After heartbreak. After disappearing and returning. Not to her but to myself. She betrayed me. She vanished. And I never planned to return. Until she tracked me down. Not to reclaim the past, but to set us both free from it. And sometimes, that is the most powerful ending love can have.